One.
So this is a new Dynon SkyView package for the Cessna 172L, and we went with the full package here with the autopilot and the engine monitoring equipment. So on this end of the tables, we have all the engine monitoring equipment, harnesses, pressure sensors, fuel flow sensors, and the EGT, CHT setups, the electrical shunt for the 100 amp shunt there. We also showing that most of our stuff was the old coax, so we're replacing everything with the RG400. So that is what we're working on today. And then over here, this is a lot of the hardware kits, and this is for the servos for the autopilots. So all this equipment here is for the autopilot. This is our autopilot disconnect switch here. So that's going to be going in on the panel itself. And then over here, we've got the harnesses for the autopilots, as well as the autopilot servos over here. So those will be going in to the ailerons and the elevator. So it's a 2-axis autopilot, and there's the harnesses for those. We do have the 10-inch and we have a 7-inch monitor. We found that the 10-inch really wasn't going to fit into the panel very easily. We would take a lot of modifications and it would just barely fit, but it is possible. So we decided to just go with the 7-inch monitor. These are the trays for each of the different monitors. This is the 10-inch tray. This is going to have different stacking of different equipment, your air rink and ADHRs, and the backup battery, your hub, and then our ADSB. We have the ADSB in over here. And this harness, we are going with the Approach Fast Stack harness. So one thing we had to make sure was that this harness was long enough to reach where we had the Approach Fast Stack hub. Excuse me. Here is our remote USBs, and these are for updating the database. These will go next to each of the different monitors on the panel. And over here, we've got our we went with all 3 remote panels. We've got the autopilot, and we do have a comm. So the remote comm is right here, and that sits in the 7-inch panel. Then we've got our knob select over here for such things as your barometer. And so that's there. You can also do that on the screen with the Dynon. You can do it on the screen or with the remote panel. And then, so this is going to be the 7-inch panel. Again, we are using Approach Fast Stack harness. So you'll notice that this harness here does not come with the Dynon package. This is part of the Approach Fast Stack. So we're putting this all in. So our existing radios are also going to be connected to this. And so there really isn't hardly any wiring that has to be done to the entire upgrade of this aircraft. We have our standby EFIS power harness here, and then we've got our SkyView network cables here. And then over here, we've got the backup batteries and the GPS. And I'm trying to remember, oh, this is a D30. This is what you would look like, would be equivalent to your G5 as a backup attitude indicator. So that is all going to be in this package here. And so you can kind of see the D30 there. So that is where we're at today. And we are maintaining or retaining some radios in our aircraft. We're keeping the Garmin 345 audio panel. We are retaining the Garmin, the Garmin GMX345 transponder, and that has ADSB in and out. So the Dynon system does not get the in signal from the Garmin 345. So we end up doing the ADSB in Dynon's option. So this one here is just your ADSB in, not the out. So we actually have 2 sources of in. One you can use in ForeFlight, coming from the Garmin 345, and the display panel is going to be coming from the Dynon ADSB in. And then the other radio that we're adding is the Garmin 650XI GPS. So that is being integrated into the system as well. So those are the 3 radios that we're installing into the aircraft. Those have already been put in and the harnesses have been done. So the next thing is we're getting our panel cut. So we are looking at the template right now to try to fit everything and make sure everything has the room it needs, and then mount everything once that comes in. And then we're going to be hooking up all the wires for power and ground. So that will be going on while somebody's working on the engine, monitoring equipment, and another person will be working on the autopilot servos. And that's where we're at today. So today we're trying to get some RG400 cables run, get those done, and then finalize our template for our panel, and then we're good to go to start installing some of these items. That's it.